Ladies and gentlemen, it's 1 o'clock. We're going to commence the special meeting here at Fort Clark Springs. It's 1 o'clock, April 4th, 2025. At this time, let us just stand up for a moment of silence and in the pledges, and then we'll start the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, indivisible. Thank you. The special meeting was called regarding the consideration of a landscaping contract for Fort Clark Springs. Ms. Cavender will share some high points regarding why the contract's needed, and then we will have a discussion, and then we'll take a vote. Ms. Cavender?
I don't know. Can you all hear me if I don't use the microphone? Okay, I can use it.
It's on.
Is it?
It's on.
Can you still hear? All right. So let me preface this. As you know, we've had, Russell's been one who's kind of worked with me. We've had some challenges with our landscaping. And so they've grown more and more to be challenging as the weeks and months have, started. And so usually the last 3 months, I may have had 2 people, maybe 1. And it's difficult when you have this amount of land that you have to take care of to make it look good. My job is to make sure that it does look good. So I've taken some time out. I reached out to 4 different landscape companies. Let them know what the scope of work was based on our green area and our map and where our units are located. Drove around extensively with them as they looked at everything, and I received some bids on that. I presented the prior board 2 of the bids, and then also the new board that is with us gave them the bids. And so when I calculated this, I calculated what it would cost per hour, how many people per year, taxes, liabilities, workman's compensation, vacations, sick days, holidays, all of that. What the biggest cost is the equipment that constantly gets broken. That equipment is not cheap by far. Just to name one, we have a pole saw. That pole saw probably costs us $800. I've already had to have it fixed twice. And I'll say very nicely, I mean, maybe unforeseen negligence on their part, but it was fixed a few months ago, cost $100 to do it. It got ran over. That's another $140 to fix it. Our machinery is constantly broken. We also have to pay for gas for the vehicles that they drive. We have to have insurance for the vehicles that they drive. And so 2 of the members are no longer with us for various reasons. I can't divulge. Somebody gave in their 2 weeks notice, and then I have another person that still is in need of a driver's license before they can work here, because you have to be able to drive. With that said, I've had emails saying our landscape looks atrocious. So that was time for me to say, okay, I need to contract this out. So if I were to rehire people again, because I have no landscapers right now, at $13.50 an hour for the year, it would be $125,420.08. That doesn't count the times they call in sick, doesn't count they call in on Mondays, which happens a lot, 3-day weekend or a 3-day weekend on a Friday. I never have a pool crew. But we're still paying for the equipment, we're still paying for the gas, we're still paying for the bodies to be here. I have 2 bids that I sent that were very comparable in price. And DLP was who I would recommend at $124,487.46. You won't have any more gas problems, vehicle insurance, equipment. And if their bodies aren't here, that's not on me. I don't have to worry about it. That's up to them because I'm paying them as a contractor. At the end of the day, I want the Ford to look good. They came out and did a complimentary 3 days for us prior to the annual meeting, so we could showcase what work they can do. Russell, what were your thoughts on what you saw at the pool as of the weekend?
It looked like they were performing quite well, but they did it in a timely manner. I was pleased with what was happening.
Thank you. That's probably the first time I've heard Russell say he's pleased because he goes down to that pool every day. That's his
That's his
baby.
baby, that's right.
And him and I have worked on a scope of work for the pool area. So it could showcase what we have. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. I'm sure a lot of people have some questions. But at the end of the day, it's going to take a lot of liability off of our plates that is unnecessary and we don't need to have. But we'll have a crew out here that's going to take care of it. And I will oversee that to make sure that happens. Because at the end of the day, my agenda is to make the Ford look good. And that's it. I have nothing else to say other than thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you clarified that you'll be overseeing them to make sure they're going where they need to be going. Do any of the directors have any discussion issues regarding the contract?
I would just like to say that you need to get them to put the Ford as additional insured on their insurance.
Sure.
So that if anything happens, they won't come after the Ford. And it doesn't cost them anything. They can.
It doesn't. We did it when I was in the military.
They get their company to put the Ford as additional insured.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
I
very
can
much.
talk to DLP on that. We had to do it for our military contracts when I worked on the military bases, so that's a reasonable request.
John? Any concerns?
No, I think it's a good idea. I think it saves us money in the long run, and I think some of the points that you didn't hit on that are important is that even though the cumulative total, I didn't come up with one. I came up with like 115, but because in my documentation it doesn't say
I
124.
put tax
Okay.
8.25%.
Okay, so the 124 is technically, right on par with what we pay these employees, but we're losing the burden of all the equipment. But I think that everybody should also understand it's a month-to-month contract, so a 30-day notice of cancellation is all that's necessary. So it's not really 124,000. If we get 3 months in and they're not performing to the degree that we want them to, it's as simple as sending them a letter of a 30-day notice of cancellation. And then we'll be right back where we're at with having to find employees or another contractor if that's what everybody decides to do. So I think it's a good idea, and there's really no downside to it. So
Jason?
I have no problem. It's only 30-day commitment, so it's not like we're going to be paying them for the rest of the year if they don't perform.
Anybody else? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. My only related question is, before you started, we invested a lawnmower.
Mhm.
Lawnmower or lawnmowers?
One.
One. And I remember, John, correct me if I'm wrong, was it over $10,000?
it was like maybe around
15.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do you know the status of that lawnmower?
Oh, yeah, the
It's taken care
status is very well taken care of.
Good.
But the golf course could probably use that because some of their lawnmowers are pretty old. And so that will be a good backup in case something goes wrong so we don't have to spend money.
Okay, well, thank you for thinking ahead of that at this time. That's good. That's good. Okay. Any questions amongst members? Go ahead, Ms. Martin.
Um, how many employees is that involved? Like currently, how many employees do we have here? And how many will they be replaced by with DLP? Same number? So, no, it won't necessarily be the same number. They will have a crew in here of anywhere from 5 to 7 to get the fort to where it needs to be. So when they're done, then they just need to maintain it, and then they'll probably cut down to 4. We have 4 now. Well, we don't have any now. We did have 4. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
What's the overlap with the golf course maintenance? So there's still everything's got lawnmower, and then how many employees do we have doing landscaping?
We have 3 at the golf course. The landscaping that we're hiring has nothing to do with the golf course. They maintain their own.
And then also, does this include like specific projects, or is this just like?
Yes, you did ask that. So if there are extra projects that's above and beyond, like cutting the branches 10 feet above, making sure walkways are done, your normal getting rid of brush, cutting down limbs. If it's like the flags, you asked about the flag, we can talk to them. They may do it, but all I need to do is talk to them and see, is this an extra amount? And because it's a special project, it is not like in your normal scope of the landscaping. So it would probably be an extra cost, but if it's not a lot of work, Martine, who is the one I've been working with, said that he would love to work with us in any way he can, because his very first job was on the sport. And he told me he's got a special place for this sport, and he wants to see it succeed like I do. So maybe that is why he didn't ask as much, because he'd like to showcase his work by bringing more people in. So yes, if there's special projects we can do, we will definitely do them. There could be an extra cost, or there might not be, but I will keep the members informed.
And then, what about watering, like watering the trees along
That's maintenance.
Colony Road?
That has been maintenance, so we'll continue to keep that as maintenance. Yeah.
So the landscaping, but I am in favor generally with the concept of outsourcing landscaping, generally speaking. Is, so is this, you're talking about insurance and vehicles and equipment, so do the maintenance still use those vehicles, or are we?
Well, some of our maintenance, because I'll be honest with you, we don't have enough vehicles for all of them. So a lot of times they double up. So maybe at this point in time, because we are losing or have lost the 4 people that use vehicles that were doubled up, maybe now they'll be able to have their own vehicles and be able to go out and do more because they're not doubling up to do work.
So we're not actually, just to be clear, we're not actually saving on
No.
the insurance vehicle. Thank you, that will help, doesn't it?
Ms. Linda?
Well, I'm not sure I remember how to ask the question, but one of you guys said something about 4 people of less. So if you calculate the salaries that you have gotten back, that will pay for this company coming in and doing their thing. So it's almost a wash.
Yes.
So that makes me feel better.
I think it's better than a wash because I just made some notes and earlier she covered most of them, but we won't have the expensive mowers, tires. Flat tires are very common if you see all the mesquite, right? I mean, just that repeated thing and plugging them ends up your tires don't last nearly as long. Chainsaws, which, commercial style chainsaws are anywhere from $600 to $1,200. The weed eaters, the maintenance on them, the string pole saws, change for a pole saw is about $33, $34. Fuel, oil on all machines and maintenance on all the machines. Chains are around $43, $44 if you buy, name brand, you're running steel or something. And then it just keeps going. So all of that is 100% going to be the burden of the new company. So, I mean, I would just in those alone and still having the vehicles, I would say that it's going to save us in that 15 to 20K range a
So
year.
that might be worthwhile, and you have the opportunity to weigh in when you don't like
Yeah.
what you see.
Well, and
Oh,
also
yes.
you have the dog days of summer, and I think she, could foster a good enough relationship with Martine that we all know that there's certain times of the month here you don't really do much landscaping because it's so hot or we don't get any rain
No
or
grass.
whatever. And I think we could catalog some of that and then kind of redeem redeem that for some of the special projects later on down the road, or during those times, say, hey, we have some identified a list of 10 things that we would like to do, but it's so dry that you're really not having to do a lot of landscaping. How about instead, let's substitute in some of these projects? I think that our team would be, on board with that.
Would one of those projects be like, for example, when it's super hot and it hasn't rained in 90 days? That they could, because we get these requests regularly to chop down trees, trees that are just dead,
Yeah.
or they can focus on those things while they're not cutting grass or trimming shrub or whatever else.
So Martin did say that if we had some problematic trees, then he would definitely take them down. We notated some that were at the pool, actually, right as you drive in, that he said, and that would be the time to do it. When it's winter time, that's when you would want to take them down. That's when you do want to trim your trees, because you don't want to do it when they're budding, because when they're dormant is when you want to do them. Because if they're budding, you can kill a tree, you can cause diseases, because once you cut it, that's a wound. And if it isn't properly, they put some sort of chemical on it to prevent, diseases, but that is the perfect time to do it, is when it's not summertime.
Thank you very much for the detailed information.
I have one question
Yes,
about
ma'am.
the termination clause. It's not really being my background in contracts. The termination clause has to be agreed upon with two parties, both sign this contract. And if you want to terminate it, you have to make an effort to get with the other party, and y'all have to both agree that you're going to terminate the contract. And it has to be given on the letterhead, signed and authorized with a 30-day notice. So there are some other things in there that you have to think about and consider, whether it's going to be that easy to get out of it with a 30-day notice.
Sure.
And I was wondering, they've already started work. So what are we paying them for that? And how are we paying
Well,
them?
as I mentioned, it was complimentary. They wanted to showcase their work.
So we're not having to pay for anything they've already done?
No.
Okay.
So what are you approving now? If it, since you're talking about month to month, and if it's,
It's
after 3 months, it's not good, so are you approving a year's worth of this, or?
It's month to month based on the 30-day.
I understand that the contract is with the board, what are you approving? Are y'all approving the entire year? Or
Correct me if I'm wrong, we're approving the contract and the contract will be month to month. If at any time under your purview, you are not happy with their work, you can cancel the contract.
Yes, sir.
I would have them
After the
put it in
30.
the contract that it's month to month, because it doesn't say that. It doesn't say it in the contract. So they need to have it in the contract that it's month to month
It
with a
didn't say month to
30-day
month.
notice, and both parties agree.
Well, but
I've just been in a lot of contracts, and I can see things that could happen.
Yours were government contracts, right?
Not all of them. We didn't,
Ma'am.
we did, the ones I did were with,
term, it should be in like maybe the first paragraph, the actual term of the contract.
So the
But
term of
it's-
the contract is 30. She just read it. So, and you're correct. But I would highlight that while we are the customer, I don't know that it's always the best practice it sounds like what people want is a contract that just says, if we don't like it, we send a letter and we get out of it, But I believe that we should, the way that it's written is perfectly okay, because that means that two reasonable parties get together and we say, hey, we don't want your services. Here's my 30-day notice. And they pretty much have to agree to it. Now, we also have the leverage of not paying for bad service and that being documented or whatever. So yeah, there's two sides to every coin here, but at the end of the day, it is a 30-day contract. And we
Every month?
should have to go to the other company and say, hey, we don't like your services. This isn't working out. But it sounds like what's some of y'all are wanting is a contract that just says very clean and cut and dried that we can cancel it for any reason with a 30-day notice, which is okay too, I guess. But I think that the landscape
No,
company
I
should
don't
also
want-
have a chance
I didn't
to.
say that. If you can cancel it with I just wanted it to be clear that it was a month to month, and we could cancel it.
So,
Well, so are you gonna approve, is the board gonna approve each month? Then if it's a 30-day contract?
Well, I think that would be in the motion. Why couldn't we just put that in the motion?
That you're gonna approve it every month?
We're going to approve 12. I mean, the motion could in theory be that we approve 12 months and then at any given time, it's up to the general manager to, to discontinue services.
Yeah.
I just want to reinforce now that I've read the clause, it does say month to month. It doesn't mention a 12-month contract or an annual contract. It's month to month with a 30-day termination. So we're all on the same
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what it is.
Very good. Anything else, Jason? Okay. Does someone want to make a motion?
Well, can I ask one more question?
Oh.
Sorry, just when you say they're gonna be here, you had the last, maintenance people, the.
Oh, my employees.
Yes, they were here every day. Will these people be here every day? I know you said after 5 to 7, or
They'll have 4 on the crew, which it mentions it in the contract, and I can print, we can send any electronic to you. But I do want to clarify, though I had employees that were not here every day. Okay, that's how we got in the mess we got into, unfortunately. But they were gonna start out with 5 to 7 to get it up to maintenance, is what he calls it. Once it's maintained, they'll continue with a smaller group because they've already done the hard labor to get it to where it's at. And then the rest is maintaining it continuously.
it's like every place else.
Yeah.
That's what wasn't clear. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Thank you, Ms.
worries.
Martin. Anything else? All right, directors, does someone want to give me a motion regarding this contract? It's a landscaping contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract as it sits for up to 12 months with the understanding that it is a month-to-month contract.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
But with the addition of us being on their insurance.
Yes, it needs to be, that we need to be an additional insurer.
Yes.
I need a second.
I second that.
All in favor?
I'm just gonna abstain because I would like to look more into it, but I'm in favor of it. I'm not in favor of it.
No problem.
It's just I'm not comfortable.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the meeting at this moment, after adopting the contract, we're going to conclude it. It's going to adjourn and we need to go into executive session to cover other matters regarding Fort Park Springs. I'm going to announce this now in case you're not back. Our next meeting is April 26, 2025 at 9 a.m. And I will announce it again after we come back from executive session. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned at 1:23. Fort Park Springs Board has adjourned back into session. It is 4:09 in the afternoon. We just completed our executive session where we covered updating new officers and personnel matters. Our next meeting again will be April 26, 2025 at 9 a.m. at the Fort Park Boardroom. We're adjourned until the 26th of April. It's now 4:10.